I just wanted to start by really kind of pointing out again what is sustainable tourism, because we keep talking about it. It's been a buzzword for many years, and everyone here seems to be applying it one way or another. But sustainable tourism really encourages long-term investments in regenerative design, renewable energy, conservation, and community development. Um, when it's not done right, it's bad for business, as can be seen. It's also negatively impacting the environment, local communities, and cultural heritage. But so I guess to really begin this, we want to ask, how do you view, each one of you, sustainable tourism, and how is it applied in your area?
Allow me to share Meralco's long-term sustainability strategy, which ensures a just and affordable transition to clean energy. Our strategy unfolds in three key horizons. Throughout these phases, we prioritize the well-being of our communities by making clean electricity an enabler for education, water access, healthcare, livelihoods, and disaster resilience. Meralco is fully committed to support customers in their goals, in your goals for sustainability, even for your home or business. Here are the benefits that you'll be reaping for decades when you install panel. You'll be reducing your operating costs. Your monthly electricity bill will be lowered. Increase efficiency by managing your energy, as mentioned by Pat here. You can monitor in real time using our dashboard technology. And then you can achieve your sustainability goals of reducing your greenhouse gas emission, waste, and furthermore, the OPEX.
At SM Hotels, we recognize that sustainability is not only a responsibility, but it's a key business strategy, right? And we follow four pillars, actually four pillars to drive this, okay? First is we put sustainability in our core strategy, business strategy. It's in our five-year plan, right? We also institutionalize, first of all, we change our mission vision statement. I think that's very important for every company who's serious about sustainability, because sustainability is not an ad hoc, it's not a special projects team, it's really how we operate. The second is also one of the pillars that's very important is data, okay? So we use data and certifications because as Pat mentioned earlier, what gets measured gets done, right? And we all have to know where we came from to be able to see if we improve. So we employ a lot of, like for example, we have systems now to measure our electricity, our water consumption. Waste diversion is also measured. Everything is measured. Data and certifications. Why are certifications very important? Because you want to be following the right leader, right? So whether it's for buildings, whether you follow LEED, which we have a certification of, WTTC for the hospitality, for finance, we have ISSB and TCFD, all these acronyms. For our carbon footprint, we have SBTI, which is very important, and that's driven by WWF. We also have our NGC NELP certification under UNEP. So we have all of this, and these are like very important. And the question is always like, how much is this and is it worth it, right? Because this is a recurring fee. It's very important because as mentioned earlier, these certifications, when you show it to client, you gain confidence and trust, which translates to revenue, right? Because they come and stay with you. The other pillar that we have in our strategy is, of course, our buildings, right? And as we, because through SBTI, we were able to determine that, you know, part of our, the biggest contributor, obviously, of our carbon footprint is how we build and operate in our buildings or in our convention centers and in our hotels. And then the fourth pillar, which is very, very important in our strategy, is cross-sectorial collaboration. Sustainability is not for you only, it's not for your property only. You need to ask for help. When you talk about again, cross-sectorial. You're talking about, so the 3 or 4, right? So the private sector, the government, um, NGO, and of course the community outside. Because as you know, Mr. Henry C. Senior, no, his philosophy, which we live by up to now, is that he always he said, you know, in one of his quotes, he said, as we grow our business, the community also has to grow. So we really believe in shared prosperity.
You mentioned a lot of the certifications that you have to do yearly, right? So I wanted to loop Mr. Gowen and find out. I mean, so I'm sure ASCOT also has to get all of these certifications every year, right? So, I mean, what's the impact of this on ASCOT, and you know, how are the owners responding towards this?
This is our sustainability program, our framework, ASCOT Cares. And ASCOT Cares, when we first started it a couple of years ago, it was designed with GSTC, the Global Sustainable Tourism Council criteria in mind. So it's fully aligned, and each of the 5 core pillars were designed around all of the GSTC criteria, and they were all individually mapped. And we took this one step further this year when we released our just published sustainability report. And if you look at our report, every single story that we highlighted in the report was mapped to the criteria in GSTC that it fulfilled. Now, this is the first time that I think any organization has done that, and we are quite proud to do so. But it really showcases our company's alignment and our commitment to the GSTC criteria. And that's the criteria that we stuck with and align ourselves with. So if you go on to the next slide, I think, yeah, so this is another page also from our report. And we're coming to that question on certifications. So for us as a group, we look at certifications in 2 broad categories. The first one would be the green building certification. So these are the type of certifications that most of you would be quite familiar with. These are your LEED, your BREEAM, that sort of things. It's very hardware. It's about building performance. And the social aspect is not really there. Then you have your operational-based certification. That's the second group. These are your GSTCs, your green keys, and whatnots. So then the question is, where do you want to be? And to us, it's actually, if you draw a Venn diagram and you have 2 overlapping circles, it will be right in the middle. Because actually the 2 certifications are important, but they serve different purposes and different stakeholders. With green building certifications, you will be looking a lot about investors, investor communities. It's looking a lot about payback, right? The hardware, ROI. But when you talk about green operation certifications, you're talking maybe more about the corporate travelers, your retail travelers. They are more looking not just about the E, but just as importantly, the S. And they want to know, as modern travelers, what your organization's stand is when it comes to sustainability. How are your organizations looking at sustainability holistically? So to us, when we went around hunting for certifications, we thought, GSTC really represented the most best possible way of how we define. The question was asked earlier about sustainable tourism, and that's why we chose GSTC. So last year, for the first time, we started introducing green certification clauses into our HMAs. The very first time. And the success was resounding. And we are very proud to announce that, and we said this in our report, that more than 80% of the deals that we signed as a group in 2024 had the green certifications inside. And it's not just our BD colleagues pressing on and carrying it out, but also it speaks volumes to our stakeholders, our owners, because they have to agree to it when they sign. It's something that they are committing themselves to. And more than 80% in the first year. So I think not just for ASCOT, but it also signals a broader shift within the industry across the world, because these are global numbers of how owners as a whole are looking at the importance of green certifications. Yeah.
Just to add, and you don't do this just in one country, you do this across all properties.
Yes, yeah.
And the
globally.
certification, there are also local certifications that you have to deal with. And
Yes, yeah. So when we talk about certifications, we align ourselves with GRESB, GRESB. So the clauses that we put in, they can have the freedom to choose what certifications they want to go for, as long as they are in GRESB's list. And GRESB updates this every year.
and we see that ASCOTT has committed to net zero by 2050. So a big challenge. What are some of the like larger operational challenges to get there?
Okay, sure. To me, I think I will broadly categorize in two areas, data and green premium. I'll talk about data first. I think this topic is not talked about enough, but it's so important, no? And what can't be measured cannot be managed. This is all very important. And I think really the existing systems that we have to capture the data that we need today, unfortunately, is not there. And sustainability is moving so fast. I went for a course, and then the course coordinator told me, oh, we had to update the slides. We can't use the last 2 weeks ago because things have changed. That's the speed that we are talking about, these days. The second thing I'll talk about would be green premium. And if you read about green premiums, it really is the difference in the cost of a green solution versus the incumbent solution, right? And how do we bring the cost of the green solution down to the same level or even lower? If you ask me what is the challenge that we feel as we roll out across the globe, it's this navigation through these various scenarios of different levels of maturity of solutions and countries across the green premium.
A lot of us have put goals in terms of carbon footprint, right? Net zero by so and so year. If you think about that goal, okay, it's a science-based goal, and it needs data. Like in any science, it needs data and metrics, and so that's why I said one of the key drivers in it is really you have to invest in that, in the data, because when you have that, you will feel confident when you claim those goals, right? You will feel confident when you say that we will be net zero by so and so, because you have that backing of that computation or whatever, that data. And so I cannot, reiterate enough how important data is and to invest in that.
All of this data and what your founder said is the importance is what is your impact? You're going to look for that, right? So talking about the different communities that you work with, how has SM hotels impacted the communities positively that it works with?
To start with, because we talked about guidelines, right? We talked about all these certification and guidelines. For tourism, what we follow is, of course, the UN SDG, right? So if you go to your UN SDG, the 17 indexes, you have there on, I think, employment, or parang ganyan, employment, it's number 8, and then of responsible consumption, okay? So I think you start there, you read through the indexes, and see what applies to you. Now, if you go through that, there's a lot about the community, okay? There's a lot about the community. So first and foremost is that you have to, one of our programs is really to hire from the local community where we operate. So we have an average of 90%. Everyone really comes from there. From there, you train them. When you train them, then you improve their mental, their skill and their mental capabilities, right? So we track the promotions, like how many from, the rank and file became supervisors into managers. So we track that, okay? So that's one, local hiring. The next is MSMEs, okay? We're a big supporter of MSMEs because that's how SM was also built. And Mr. C really supported MSMEs, right? And so in the hotel group, every year we give our purchasing a target to develop X amount of MSMEs. we have this program for farmers called KSK through SM Foundation. KSK means Kabuhayan sa Kalikasan. Okay, so these are